I'm Tom Busby, CNBC. More new record-closing highs for all the major averages today, but just barely, thanks in part to Apple shares climbing higher, pushing its market cap to a staggering $905 billion. The Dow today, 6 points higher, the Nasdaq up 21. Shares of Time Warner fell sharply after the Justice Department put a troubling condition on AT&T, trying to buy the media giant for $85 billion, saying it needs to sell CNN or another asset to clear antitrust hurdles. Struggling Sears predicting sales will drop another 15% in the next year. Now it plans to sell 140 properties it owns, many of them former stores, in order to make $400 million in pension payments. Shares of Sears down another 6%. Panera Bread is buying rival coffee and bakery chain Au Bon Pain, which it used to own. And good news in Baltimore, Amazon building a new distribution center there, creating 1,500 jobs. Tom Busby, CNBC.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to tell you about KFC's Georgia Gold.
And I'm also over here to tell you about Nashville Hot.
Georgia Gold is honey mustard barbecue.
KFC Nashville Hot is spicy and smoky.
Georgia Gold is sweet and tangy.
Nashville Hot is crispy and delicious.
You might be asking how I'm doing this.
You also might be asking where the nearest KFC is.
I don't know what you're asking. This is radio. I can't hear you. Try both delicious flavors at KFC.
Available in extra crispy chicken tenders or chicken littles for a limited time at participating KFCs. Prices may vary.
Attention small business owners, you know how hard it is to get funding to grow your business. Next Wave Funding is a direct funder that can help you get the cash you need when you need it, even if your credit is not that great. If you've been in business for over 1 year, have at least $12,000 in sales every month, Next Wave will purchase your future earnings and give you the money you need. It's as simple as that. This is by far the easiest and best funding for existing businesses. Call 800-430-4566. That's 800-430-4566.
NBC News Radio, I'm Monica Nelson. Vice President Pence is now in South Texas to meet with survivors of the deadly mass shooting at a Baptist church on Sunday. Pence and his wife Karen will visit with the families of the victims of the attack that left 26 people dead and 20 others wounded in Sutherland Springs. The Pences will also attend an evening prayer vigil. The Democratic Party is feeling re-energized after winning the governor's seats in Virginia and New Jersey. And now the party is turning its eyes toward the midterm elections. Democrats Ralph Northam and Phil Murphy won their races in Virginia and New Jersey. New York Democratic Mayor Bill de Blasio easily won re-election and is laying out his plans for the next 4 years. James Flippen has more.
His Honor says city voters spoke loud and clear last night.
You see a clear picture of what the vast majority of New Yorkers want, what their values are.
And he predicts a new era. He lists making New York a fairer city among his goals.
And continued change in the city. That's going to be very good. That's going to right a lot of the wrongs of the past.
He also wants body cams on all on-patrol officers, a mansion tax, a millionaire's tax, and to wrest control over rent laws from Albany. He thinks his re-election, as well as other races nationally, speak to President Trump's agenda.
Something very big is happening. Trust me.
But as far as his political aspirations beyond Gotham,
one goal only, to be mayor of New York City for 4 more years.
James Flippen, NBC News Radio, New York.
3 American college basketball players are out on bail following their arrest Tuesday in China for shoplifting. The trio was arrested after allegedly stealing sunglasses from a Louis Vuitton store next to the hotel. An Air Force Academy cadet thought to have been the target of racist threats is now admitting his role in the incident. The unidentified student was one of 5 African-American cadet candidates attending the Academy's prep school in Colorado Springs. After racist notes were found outside their rooms in September, the superintendent's stern lecture denouncing the action went viral. As of today, Amazon packages can be delivered inside your home. Prime members can buy a key in-home kit. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Riverside Municipal Airport would like to now honor all Americans who have served in our armed forces.
Saturday, November 11th is Veterans Day. From restaurants, stores, and shops that offer special veterans discounts to employers who make a special effort to hire veterans, all across America, business owners are going out of their way to thank veterans for their service. Let these businesses know you appreciate their efforts by supporting them on Veterans Day and every day.
This Veterans Day, the Riverside Municipal Airport salutes America's veterans, honoring all who have served. Riverside Airport, itself a Civil Air Patrol site, works with 2 universities offering aviation degree programs, tower-controlled ILS, 6 flight schools, and an A&P school. Riverside Municipal Airport also salutes the city's own National Cemetery. To all who have served, a hearty thank you from Riverside Municipal Airport.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
Greetings and welcome to What's It All About. This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel, host of What's It All About, and today we are live coming from KCAA 1050 on your AM radio dial, plus 2 FM stations, and plus podcast and retention on the archives forever and ever and ever, and that's all very good too. So let us begin by saying that we honor all of our veterans. Veterans Day is coming up, and we want to talk a little bit about our veterans program that we do for the brain-injured veterans and PSTD veterans. And that's one thing we'll be doing today. And we have a very exciting show. I've been trying to get a hold of Cheryl, and I don't think that I have been lucky. Cheryl, are you on the line at all? She's not. So anyway, maybe I can get a hold of her later on during the show, and she can tell you how you might be able to honor a veteran. I have some interesting things to share with you. We have a relationship with Dr. David Perlmutter, who is an MD practicing in Florida for many, many years. And over the years, I sent many patients to him from our institute in Newport Beach, California. And Dr. Perlmutter developed a program to help brain insufficient people develop a higher level of brain function. And I'm telling you, this is not to be laughed at. He has developed a nutritional program to help people with brain deficiencies repair the brain tissue so that their brain deficiencies improve, and in some cases go away, in some cases even the effects of and symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's have receded. And I want to share with you his name, Dr. David Perlmutter. Perlmutter, MD, and he is in Florida, and he has published an incredibly interesting book, and the book is called Grain Brain. Grain Brain. And I want you all to remember that name because you may want to buy that book and do some of the things that it advises you to do, and believe me, your brain function will improve. Like all things, it's costly in terms of behavior because it is a behavior modification book. It tells you how to change your behavior to help your brain function, and it does work. So I want to share it with you. You can buy it from any bookstore. I'm sure Amazon.com has it. Grain Brain by David Perlmutter, MD. I'm not going to tell you any more about it. If you suspect you're having a problem or someone you know or love is having a problem, get the book, read about Grain Brain, read it before you give it to anybody. At least breeze through it and understand what it's trying to say, and then give it to someone and let them go wherever they want to go with it. Do we have anyone on the line?
Yeah, we have 2 callers. I think we have Cheryl, and we have another one.
Oh, we do. Cheryl, are you on the line?
How did Brandon know that I was on the line?
How did Brandon know? I don't know. Brandon's psychic.
It shows the number, and I recognized the area code, and I took a guess.
I got it. Okay.
Brandon is a genius. I thought he had read Dr. Perlmutter's book, Grain Brain, and he was practicing the highest level of brain efficiency. That's good.
I know you have a very full show, so I don't know if there's something that I can help you with real quick.
Yes, it's Veterans Day coming up, and I thought that we better give out information on our veterans program on the Richard A. Neubauer Research Institute. There are approximately somewhere around the area of 400,000 veterans diagnosed with PTSD. We know that many of them have TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. My great Dr. Neubauer, he was my mentor for many, many years, developed a program, a treatment program that helps them. And I thought some of our listeners may want to contribute or sponsor a treatment for or a range of treatments. And you have all that information in your brain. And I thought that's why. And so look at, we connected. It's a miracle.
It is. And I think Denise is on, so I'm not going to take very much of her time. But if you go to our website, which is ranri.org, or we call it RANRI, there are projects that are listed, and we have a donate button. And right now we are trying to raise funds specifically for 4 veterans. It ends up being about $7,000 for a complete protocol. So we would love any portion of sponsorship of that. And we are still treating that little boy from Las Vegas who had a near drowning and is considered
How's he doing?
brain
How's he
dead.
doing?
The last time I heard, he was tracking people with his eyes, and so that doesn't sound like brain dead. Sounds like he's waking up.
That's a miracle. That in itself is a miracle. This is a very, very interesting situation, and he is improving, so that's good, and we're very, very happy about that. So tell us again how they can get in and get the information. And I want to remind you that there are some hyperbaric centers that would charge for this range of treatments at $2,000 a treatment. What's that, about $80,000?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm saying yes.
Okay. So, and our total, what we have worked out with them is what, about 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000, something like that, compared to 80?
Yes, just under 7,000.
Yeah. So this is and giving somebody their brain back is an absolute miracle. Okay. Anyway, have you told everybody how to do it? Are you comfortable that they got it?
It's RANRI, ranri.org.
RANRI.org, R-A-N-R-I. RANRI stands for Richard A. Neubauer Research Institute, RANRI.org. Look at that, and look at the Hyperbaric Oxygen Institute website as well. You'll learn a little bit about hyperbaric oxygen, about the wonder of oxygen and what it can do, and everybody needs to know as much as they can about everything, but oxygen specifically, because it is the most important thing that our body utilizes. Absolutely the most important thing. Okay, Cheryl, thank you very much for your call. And Denise, I understand you're on the line.
Hi, Dr. Jolly Gabriel. How are you?
Well, you know what? I'm alive and I'm breathing and I can see the sunshine and I'm happy for all those things. I'm grateful to God and grateful to God for your relationship and your friendship. And I want to thank you again for your gracious generosity to the homeless center. We were overwhelmed by it, and they were overwhelmed when I took that huge box of coffee cups to them. Enormous. She said that's the biggest box of coffee cups they ever have been given. And all of the coffee and the pasta. She said, "Are you going to have the whole city for pasta?" I said, "No, you are." So they were very, very pleased with all of that, and I want to thank you on behalf of the Homeless Center and all of the people who will profit from your generous, generous gift.
Oh, thank you. And
now, I understand that another of your charities that is operated by the Trinitarian nuns, and they provide food and medical services, and this is the time of year now where Christmas is approaching, Thanksgiving is approaching, and it's pretty obvious that people turn to, what can I do? What can I do to help people? And you are heavily involved. You are heavily involved in this. So I want you to explain what you're doing and how you're raising funds and the fundraiser that you're having. Please take time to do that.
Oh, wonderful. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the Friends of the Trinitarians is a nonprofit. It's a 501(c)(3), and they help the works of the Trinitarians of Mary. And they have an outreach where they reach over 1,000 people a month that they feed. Over 500 of those are children. And come rain or shine, first Saturday of the month, they line up. It's 1.5 miles down this unpaven dirt road, and if it's pouring rain, they're there to get a warm meal. They also get a bag of food at that time. They are also having a free clinic. So there's a team of doctors that come, 40 amazing volunteers, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, pharmacists. They come together on the first Saturday of the month, and they treat anybody and everybody that comes up there. Because these are people that have no access to medical help. They don't have insurance. They don't have access to that. They live on the side of the dirt road, some of them.
Well, tell us how we can help. How can we help?
Okay, so also, just so you know, they do classes for women, and they do so many things. So the need is great, and they collect blankets and toys and everything else. So we're having a fundraiser. It's going to be Saturday, December 16th. It's a Christmas Gala fundraiser. It's in Brea, California. We'd love to have everybody attend. If you cannot attend, you can donate. And then, like they said, the need is great. It's tax deductible for your donation. You can go to Friends. Ours is a little bit longer than yours. friendsofthetrinitarians.org. And thanks to Cheryl and Dr. Jolly Gabriel, we have the resources to have a website now. So friendsofthetrinitarians.org. And on there, on the right-hand side, you'll see fundraiser. If you click on that, you will get to our flyer that has all the information about the really fun event that we're going to have.
Okay, I have one thing I need to ask you, and I need to say, and I need to interrupt you. I need to interrupt you for. Many of us will not easily spell Trinitarians, so I wonder if you could do that for us.
Absolutely. So it's TRINITARIANS.
Okay, we're going to give everybody a chance now to grab a pen and to grab a piece of paper. And in about 30 seconds, we'll give you 30 seconds to grab a pen and grab a piece of paper. And Denise will spell Trinitarians again so that you can find it on the website. Is that how it is on the website?
Yes, it's on the website. So it's all spelled out. It's friendsofthetrinitarians.org.
Friendsofthetrinitarians.org.
Yep.
Okay.
Again,
so
Trinitarians is TRINITARIANS.
Okay, one more time.
Friendsofthetrinitarians.org. TRINITARIANS. Trinitarians.
Amen. Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Okay, and
I know you are.
I can give people a phone number if they prefer to call and ask any questions too. I can do that as well.
Give us the phone number. We need it.
Okay, 657-246-2788.
Okay, say it again. The area code first is
657.
Okay.
246-2788.
246-2788.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I want to say thank you so much for having us, and these volunteers and the people you'll be at our event. They are amazing, kind, loving, amazing people. So.
Well, it seems that everybody associated. I think maybe if we have a mindset of helping people, and being responsible for a little bit of help to people in need, it's magic. It's just magic, and it's a wonderful thing, and I honor you for all that you do. And again, I thank you for your gracious gift to the Homeless Center. We delivered it, and we brought much joy to those people, and I am very, very grateful to you. And I wish you to please give your precious husband, Fred, my best wishes and gratitude as well, and make a beautiful night for yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Jolly, for everything that you do. Thank you. Okay.
My pleasure and your pleasure. Take care. God bless you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's time now for us to really think about what can we do, and I think we need to start with our own families. Anybody here have a problem with a family member, need to say you're sorry, need to visit somebody you haven't visited for a long time, have someone either you know very well or you have known in the past, somebody who may be related to you, you haven't talked to, for whatever reason, because you're so busy, you're kind of out of it. Take time to be a vessel of love turn on your concern and let somebody know that you love them and you care for them and you're sorry that you haven't seen them for a year or 5 months or 10 years or whatever. Joy can be conveyed by concern and connection. And we really need to understand that, because sometimes we get so busy that it appears that we become selfish, and that's not a good thing at all. So I want to encourage everyone to please take a good look at your life and see what you can do. This is a time now, Christmas time, Thanksgiving time. Thanksgiving is a time when we need to be grateful for what we have. And we need to support people who need help one way or another. And sometimes it's just emotionally. Sometimes it's just calling someone up and saying, you know, I've been thinking about you. I want to thank you for our friendship. I'm sorry I haven't connected anymore. Whatever. It's magic. Giving people attention and love is absolutely magic. And we really, really need to do it. So I want to encourage everyone to be on that bandwagon. So that's my message for the moment. And Brandon, is there anyone else on the line for us now?
Yes, sir, there is.
There is? Oh, boy. Okay. And tell us who's on the line now.
I don't have a way to screen using this.
Oh, okay. No problem. Well, let's put them on. Let's put them on with gratitude and love.
Oh, and he just left, actually.
Say it again?
Oh, no, he's still here. I was wrong. Yeah.
Are you looking for me?
We are.
Yeah, we're looking for you. Tell us about you.
Okay, hey, how are you? This is Tim Alexander, the filmmaker.
Tim, the filmmaker.
Yes.
Talk to us. What are you going to talk to us about?
Well, I'm doing a film about the effects of the prescription medications that are overtaking people across the nation. And a lot of you may remember in the beginning of the year, there was a school teacher that was killed by her husband in San Bernardino.
Do I remember? I remember there was a massacre. It was a massacre. I lived in San Bernardino until about 4 weeks ago, and I am absolutely still horrified at what happened.
Okay. Well, that woman, the school teacher, was my first cousin.
Oh, my God.
And the man that killed her, her husband, of only 2.5 months after dating for 4 years, was the minister that married my wife and I a year ago. And he was a childhood friend since age 9.
Wow. God, what an incredibly powerful experience negatively that had to be for all of you.
Yes, and I was talking to him until 2 days before it happened. It turns out, to cut a longer story short, he was on medications. He was a Navy war vet, and he had 6 medications in his system, and nobody knew that he was on medications. And after doing a little research, I decided I was going to make a film called Why Did It Happen? Why Did Cedric Kill Karen? And when I looked, I realized it was so much bigger than that situation. It's happening all across the nation. It just happened in Texas. It just happened in Vegas. It happened in Columbine. You know, it happened when the movie theater was shot up in Aurora. You know, it's happening everywhere. And drugs are so often at the center of it because these drugs are very powerful and they affect you all the way down into your central nervous system. And the commercials tell you that they could make you suicidal. When you're suicidal, you're homicidal. And a lot of people are losing their lives from medication that's supposed to make a person's life better. So I'm making a serious
I'm totally in tune with everything you're saying. It happens that our medical institute is specializing in brain injury and trauma and the effect it has on people. We're dealing with a lot of soldiers, and a lot of them are suicidal. Some of them are homicidal. Some of them are just completely out of it. And brain injury will do that, whether or not it's related to successive concussion activity or drug activity. It alters the brain, which is the central computer system for ourselves, who we are as a human being. And you are right on target. You are right on target. Tell us a bit about the movie.
The movie is called Legal Death in Drugs We Trust. And it's a 10-hour docuseries, 10 one-hour episodes that are going to delve deeply into how big and pervasive this problem is. Another one of the problems is when a person has a so-called mental disorder, which most of the people who are on these meds do not need to be on, whenever crime is committed, they blame it on the person and say that they had a mental disorder. They fail to blame it where the blame lies. It's the medication.
Okay, are you saying the blame?
No.
Are you saying that the brain, the blame lies with the drug?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Are you familiar with CCHR?
I am familiar with CCHR. I'd like to give them a shout out. Carla Mixon and some of the other people over there, they allowed me to come in and actually shoot their psychiatry museum for my film. It's never been photographed, ever. And, you know, they gave me 3 hours to come in, so the film series is going to show some areas of their psychiatry museum, which is fascinating. I mean, it really visually, graphically shows you where this all started.
It is. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And that organization has done some pretty incredible things and helped an awful lot of people. And they are absolutely against these psych drugs. And you know, there's something that I don't understand, and I'm not absolutely sure that this is 100% accurate, but it appears to be fairly accurate, that there are over 300,000 soldiers that are supposed to have been prescribed psych drugs for their PSTD, supposed PSTD, which I would suspect that a lot of it is actual TBI, traumatic brain injury, from traumatic brain injury from brain tissue problems that result from the percussive events that these soldiers go through. But the bottom line is there are about 300,000 of them that are supposed to be on these psych drugs, because when you diagnose something like post-traumatic stress disorder, it appears that comes out as a mental problem, which supposedly makes it treatable by pharmaceuticals. And that is a tragedy, an absolute tragedy, because if in fact this is happening, we have 300,000 soldiers that are taking a combination of psych drugs that may be 8 to 10 in number per day. What do we do about that? And how many of those will exhibit any suicidal or homicidal tendencies? Have you gotten that far yet?
Yes, I'm pretty far. I'm not going to put everything out here, but the thing is, if you watch TV, you cannot avoid the commercials for all these medications, and they give you 5 minutes of things that they can do to ruin your life, with the worst being suicidal thoughts. And they're not telling you the suicidal thoughts are also homicidal thoughts.
And they say that with music and flowers, and it's just unbelievable.
How do they let you know time after time after time that these drugs can make you want to kill yourself, and then when somebody kills someone and kills themselves, they scratch their heads and say they don't know why they did it and what the motivation was? And they clearly can find that these medications are in their system, active. Or when they're coming off of them, that's another problem. That's even worse. These drugs are the same strength of medications that they would give someone that was locked away in an institution that couldn't get out against their will. And people are taking these because they saw a commercial and they went to the doctor and he asked if they had any depression or anxiety, and they said yes, and he gave them a prescription within 5 minutes. And now they're taking something that's going all the way to their central nervous system, and then when they start to react to the drugs, and there's almost always a side effect. The side effects are the effects of the drugs. Once they kick in, they start to say, oh, you're really having a problem, so let's double the dosage. Then when you start to react even more, they decide, oh, wow, you're actually bipolar. We didn't see it the first time. So now take this and this and this and this and this. I met one woman on 32 medications. 32
Hey, I've done the same. I met him with that. I met him with 20, 23.
That's one more medication than Baskin-Robbins has ice cream flavors. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. So what can we do about it?
Well, the first thing we have to do is realize that every person, like a cell in the body, is an individual entity. And every person's first responsibility is first to their self, and then to their family and the ones they love. People need to be educated that just because you're given a bottle with after 5 or 10 minutes of talking with your name on it does not mean you need to be taking it. If you experience anything, even the slightest thing that feels really strange, know that if you stay on that, eventually you won't be able to get off of it. And then your body builds an immunity to it, and either it stops working and you get switched to something else, and then you're polymedicated, or you decide to get off of it and don't realize, because you cannot tell when you're acting out. You don't know it. And so it's a very slippery slope. There are too many mothers killing their children and men coming home and killing their entire family before they kill themselves. A woman just drove a car, her SUV, off the side of a 50-foot embankment in Oregon and into the ocean and killed herself and her 3 children, 8, 11, and 13. And they watched her just turn the car and just drive right off the edge. Medication. You know, and
they were on medication?
Yes, and it's staggering the amount of stories that I'm hearing about people because they lose sense of reality. They start to have suicidal ideation. You know, they start to have problems like akathisia, where their body is uncomfortable and they just want to die. I spoke to one person who wanted to kill himself, then he decided that he needed to kill his son as well, because if he didn't kill his son may hurt somebody else. Then he decided, no, I'm just supposed to kill my son and not kill myself. I'll just go to jail. And he killed his son after 3 weeks on Paxil. You know, and it's very deceptive because everyone knows that the opioid painkillers are very bad. But while the attention is on the opioid, they're shifting the marketing campaigns toward antidepressants, because antidepressants really are very scary because they sound very innocent. Oh, it's an antidepressant. I'm going to feel better. Who takes an antidepressant and gets less depressed? Usually, they make them feel a little bad, and there becomes a dependency, and there's so many stories and people who are crying out, trying to figure out how to get off of these drugs 10, 15 years later, and they're still stuck on them. They should only be given for a short amount of time. You know, 4 to 6 weeks is what they do in Europe. Here they tell you you have to take them every day for 8 weeks before they take their effect. After 8 weeks, that's when addiction starts to set in. And why are people still on them 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years later?
Well, it's a tragedy. Now, what I'm concerned about, too, is what can we do? What can we do? Are we helpless? Do we have to sit back and do nothing? Or is there some kind of action that we can take, and how do we take that action? I would like to know that. I have no clue what's going on. I know that Carla Moxon and the team over at CCHR is doing a heavy job, working hard, trying to educate people, and they're doing a good job educating people, but I don't know what else can we support them in doing.
Well, it's very complex, and I don't know all the inner workings of what they do because I'm not a direct part of their organization. They just allow me to shoot their museum. But the first thing is awareness, because people have to realize that you probably don't want to put those in your mouth. If you really need medication, you would really know it. But just because if my wife were to leave me and I lost my job, my brain chemistry didn't all of a sudden go bad, but that's what the doctor will say. What I'd need to do is get another wife and a new job and talk to somebody to help me get through the anxiety and the stress and realized that's a life event. That did not change my brain chemistry. So one thing that needs to happen is they need to stop advertising these things on television, because you only advertise things when you want to sell them to make more profit. The only way to make more profit is to get more people to use more drugs for a longer period of time. When they advertise cigarettes, almost everybody smoked. They stopped advertising cigarettes, and now big tobacco makes only 7% of what it used to make in the 70s and 60s, because people stopped smoking. So we need to really take individual responsibility for ourselves, our families, our friends, and we need to get more girth about ourselves. One thing we can do is we can eat better, because the food is serotonin deficient. The weed killers and the pesticides kill the serotonin in the plants, and that's why
what you're saying. Allow me to interrupt you for a minute. What you're saying, I am very familiar with, and I have worked since the early '90s with a physician in Florida, David Perlmutter, and he has written a great book called Grain Brain. And I would recommend it to anybody and everybody, because it says exactly what you said about the brain being affected by what you put in your mouth. And it's very true. So I think Dr. Perlmutter's book would be in order for everybody. It's called Grain Brain, and it's certainly available. I think the internet could show you how to get it. Grain, like the grain we eat, brain. And I would recommend it. By the way, Brandon, you're online. You can hear everything that says that the show is talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give the phone number that the public could call if they want to make any comments or ask any questions? This is hot stuff, and I don't want it to be a one-way street. So if anybody does want to call in, I'd love them to have the number a couple of times so we can give them the opportunity of doing it.
They can call 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-KCAA.
Okay. So the area code again. The area code again is what?
The area code is 909.
Okay, 909, and the number is 792-KCAA.
That's right.
All right. Everybody who thinks they might be inclined to want to call in at all, write that number down. Grab a pen, grab some paper, write it down. It's area code 909-792-KCAA. That's area code 909-792-KCAA. We'll give it to you again in about 5 minutes or so. So anybody who wants to call in with any questions, comments, suggestions, please do so. And Brandon, also, these shows are all archived on the National NBC archive. Is that true? Brandon, can you hear me? Brandon may not be able to hear me at this point, but the shows are archived, and they can all be listened to. So this show is available for anybody who dials the phone number and the code to be able to hear the show, and I think probably on your computer you can too. Brandon, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was screening a call.
No problem. Don't be sorry. I just want to be sure that if anybody wants to hear the show, that anybody listening can recommend to them what to do. So can you tell us how to do that?
Yeah. I'm sorry, one more time?
If anybody wants to hear the show later from
right,
the archives,
all right.
because
That's what I thought you were
recorded
asking.
and saved in the computer, is that correct?
Yeah, you go to kcaaradio.com. You look on the schedule. Today is Wednesday, so you would go to Wednesday. You would find What's It All About, click on podcasts, and every show you've ever done is there.
Okay, so anybody can hear the show, right? And could they make a copy of it or transfer it to their computer if they wanted to?
Yeah, they can't claim it as their own, but they can download it and listen to it at their leisure. They don't need to, as soon as they've gone there once, they can download it and they don't ever have to come back. They can just listen to it whenever they want to.
Okay, fantastic. So that's a good way of rehearing everything and relearning it and being able to remember it. That's good.
We do have a caller.
Okay, let's talk to the caller.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings. Can we have just your first name, please?
My name is Alvaro.
Hi, Alvaro. Talk to us.
You know what? This is I was just browsing music channels, and then I started hearing about prescription drugs and how people are affected by the PTSD and the brain function and stuff like that. So I was involved in an accident where I kind of relate to this guy saying that they just kind of give you pills and then they just tell you to be on them for a month, come back and see what's going on. So I was on pills where the doctor actually gave me some that, hey, come back in a month. And they messed up my immune system to now I'm 28 years old. And basically what they're saying is if the pills aren't working, then I'm going to be on, what's it called? I'm going to lose my colon and then I'll have to, go to the bathroom through a bag for the rest of my life, right? But I come to realize that these prescription drug companies, all they're doing is just giving you trial and error kind of thing. And it's true. All these pharmaceutical companies are just wanting their money, and then at the same time, they just they're playing with people's lives. And when I hear these stories about how people are killing other people because of antidepressants, because of these pills that they're taking, they kind of relate with also the medicinal ones where they're just also giving you pills just to see if they're going to work. And it kind of touched home, you know what I mean? I got two daughters, my girlfriend, and it's not right when they're playing with people's lives at the same time, and then all these different side effects that happen. I feel anxiety. I feel like how do you say it? Anxiety. I'm worried that these pills are the ones that just now do I have to go back to the doctor and ask for something to keep me from biting my lips, keep me from fidgeting around with my fingers, the shake. It's just a cycle that you just don't know where to go. You just don't know who to trust anymore. And that's I just called in.
You're absolutely right. You're totally right. And I'm sitting here thinking about your specific case because you have some physiological problems that were brought about by a medication that wasn't even for your physical body, was it? Was it more for your mind or mind altering? What was the purpose of the medication originally?
The purpose of the medication is to stop my immune system from attacking my colon.
I see. And what happened to it? It instead it started to attack the colon.
Well, I'm still at times I'm still bleeding, so you just don't know whether it's going to work or not. It's just a trial and error thing. Of course, before any of this, I was actually healthy. I was actually very good. But because of an accident where somebody ran the red light, they plowed into me and then they just messed up my stomach. And this happened in May, but it's just been reoccurring. Go visit doctors, visit hospitals. They give you pills. You tell them what they've given you. They tell you, oh, now try these. You should have tried these. I don't know why they gave you these if these are making you worse. You're bleeding more because of what they gave you. Now you had to get a blood transfusion of 6 bags because of this. So at the same time, I just don't know who to trust anymore. I just don't know which one is the right doctor that you go visit. You give them a shot, and then they see too many patients. Just like that one guy said, they prescribe you something in 5 to 10 minutes that they see you, and then okay, bye-bye, see you next month.
Let me try to address that for you. The problem is there's no real test. They're just giving you stuff based on almost a whim. They're giving you. It's really ridiculous and bizarre. The thing is, food is medicine. And as I was saying earlier, the food is serotonin deficient, and serotonin is created in the gut. And it takes serotonin for you to have mental and emotional stability. Serotonin, dopamine, and a few other things. So the food we're eating nowadays has almost zero nutritional value. It fills us up, but it's not feeding our mind. Yes. And one of the best things that we can do is investigate ways to find healthier, natural food that has its proper natural balance. Because we would find that if we ate better, so many of these things would get better. And that's one of the big problems. So one thing we can do, diet, exercise, good healthy relationships, good friendships, good counseling, but we have to stop relying on medication to fix things. Find holistic doctors and naturopaths and people that actually heal the body, because Big Pharma has crept into the universities, and they don't teach the doctors how to heal the body in a classic way. They teach them how to look up symptoms, look in a book, and dispense medication. The medication dispensers. Yeah. If you want to have your life then the doctors are there to do it for you.
Yeah. You have made a very important statement, and I would recommend again Dr. Perlmutter's book. It is amazing because it is exactly what you said we need. He's been for years and years and years, I imagine close to 50 years of his life, dealing with this principle that the brain and the body are totally influenced by what we put into it, and our food chain is not good anymore. And we're taking a lot of stuff into our body that not only does not nourish us, but it's destructive. So the name of his book, again, is Grain Brain. Grain like the grain you grow in the ground. Grain Brain. I would buy that book and read it and learn from it, and at least it'll give you a start. It'll give you a start on how to properly feed and give good nutrition to your body. This has been very interesting. So,
and we also have to tell people.
No, go ahead.
We also have to tell people to look out for this film, because some people don't like to read, but this film is going to show them that. I mean, everything that you're saying he said is absolutely right. I've been basically researching for only 5 months, and I've dug to the depth of this. I'm going to put it in a very palatable, easy to look at series where you can look at it and see examples and see people who have actually gone through it. And it'll be like the equivalent of the living version of that book. And it'll be coming out in 2018. It's called Legal Death in Drugs We Trust. If you want to see a clip, you can go to the website, legaldeath.com. Legaldeath.com. And you can see, actually, the clip that's there, some of the clip was shot in the CCHR's Psychiatry Museum. And it's some amazing visuals.
All right, guys. I actually just wanted to give a little bit of input and say thank you so much for that. I'm going to check out that film, and I'm also going to get that book because you got a great point of view, and I'm finally glad somebody's actually talking about it and wanting to show something about it.
Before you get away, Brandon, can you come online for a minute to answer a question or two for me?
Yes, sir.
How can we connect with someone like this listener? How can we have them connect with us? Is there a P.O. box or something they could send a letter to?
I can get his number after you guys are done talking to him, and I can pass it on to you if that's all right with him.
Okay. Let's do that. If he gives permission, that would be great, because I would like to communicate about some things we're doing and some research we're doing too. So that would be great. Thank you, Brendan, for all your help. I don't know how I could do this show without you. You're just absolutely immensely valuable, and I want you to know that I appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
So you go ahead. And caller, thank you very much for calling in. I really appreciate that too, and hopefully we can connect later. So go talk to Brandon now. God bless you, and make a good night. And we've got to see what we can do to help you. Take care. All right. Do we have any other callers on the line?
You know what?
Hello, Dr. Jolly. It's Dr. Mirai Shami. Simo.
Dr. Mir Hashimi, greetings to you. It's a wonderful opportunity that you call right at that moment in time. We've had a wild show today, some interesting things going on, and next week I want you to be able to come on the show, and I want some people who are listening today to hear what we're going to talk about next week. So if you could give us just a couple of minutes. We do have another caller on the line, and hopefully he'll wait. Can you wait for us for a few minutes so we can end the show with you?
Certainly, of course.
Okay. I think our listener is on the line still, I hope. Anyway, so when you were on the show a couple of weeks ago, some pretty incredible things were brought up in terms of your methodology. You practice medicine in a very different way than most run-of-the-mill doctors. Could you give us a quick why do you do that, and what do you do that's different?
Well, the practice of integrative holistic medicine includes a process where we enable the body to heal itself. This process can be utilizing stem cells, which are master cells that can differentiate and grow up and become any cell that the body requires because it has been damaged. And also we use platelet-rich plasma, which is a minimally invasive procedure for regeneration of joints. If you have osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or repetitive athletic movement like the cyclists or golfers or tennis players, we're able to inject the patient's own platelet-rich plasma from the patient's blood directly into the degenerated joint and allow the joint to heal itself. And with stem cells, we are able to help patients with diabetes, with all autoimmune disorders, macular degeneration, degeneration of the eyes. Diabetic patients can truly benefit from having young cells repair the older degenerated cells. We'll have an opportunity to talk further next week when time becomes available.
Well, this is very interesting. It's almost like rebuilding the bricks on a brick wall that's falling apart.
Precisely, exactly. And we can actually prevent the falling apart. Not only we can repair what is falling apart, but we can also support the structure where it would never fall apart. So we don't necessarily need to wait till everything goes wrong. We can start repair before the damage is done in such a way that the structure falls apart. Absolutely true.
Well, this is like a whole new era of medicine, and I don't think many people know about it.
It's unfortunate, but it's very true. Although this is under FDA restrictions through National Institute of Health that are registering and monitoring these processes. And even if you look at FDA's criteria, there are more than 25 criteria that FDA allows and is recommending or certainly allowing physicians with the knowledge of stem cells and experience.
So this is possibly an answer to a lot of chronic problems that would lead in catastrophes.
True, absolutely true. Absolutely, in terms of all degenerative disorders, including all of the immunological, so MS, ALS, all of the autoimmune endocrine problems, thyroiditis, any type of rheumatoid arthritis, all of which can be helped greatly by utilizing stem cells.
All right, so next week you're going to be on the show for a while, and you'll be able to answer questions. And I want anybody who is interested in stem cell or platelet, what is the full name of the platelet program?
So it's platelet-rich plasma, where we take the patient's blood and through technical separation of platelets, we are able to take the patient's blood and inject the areas that has multiple growth factors into the degenerated joint. The magnificence of this is not only it regenerates the tissue, but there is no concern about any type of allergic response because it's directly from the patient's own blood. And this process allows the joints to regenerate themselves without any type of surgical procedures, and even patients who have moderate to severe degeneration can benefit and improve their joint capacity.
Hey, this is wild. This is like unbelievable. It's a whole new segment of medicine.
Absolutely true. This is, although I've been doing this some 20 years now, but it's just about now that it's becoming more popular and more patients are getting exposed to it. And truly,
Doctor, do you have your medical center? Do you have a website that we could give out to people that they could get more information? Hello, did I lose you? I think we lost Dr. Mirhashimi. And I'm looking through a stack of papers on my desk, and there does appear to be a website. I want everybody to have it. This sounds, in a good way, sounds crazy. In an absolutely marvelous, miraculous way, it sounds crazy. Here it is. DR period for doctor, M, Dr. M, DR period M, and then the @ sign, the A with a circle around it. And it says harborclinic.com. Dr. M at harborclinic.com, okay? Dr. M at harborclinic.com. You guys can get information on it. I understand a little bit about what I've seen it do, but I don't know how it works. I do not know how it works. So hopefully Dr. Seema will be with us. Dr. Seema Mirhashimi will be with us next week, and we can learn. I've been in the alternative medical movement since 1990, and I worked with Dr. Julian Whitaker for years, and that's where I met Dr. Mirhashimi, and her forward thinking and methodology has helped heal thousands of people. And I want everybody to know that. And my goal now is to get the word out about what really works, And it all starts with nutrition. And I really recommend that everybody buy Brain, and read it. You might even be able to cause a reversal of some brain problems, dementia. I know some people who've even reversed the beginnings of the Alzheimer's process with Dr. Perlmutter's recommendation, care, and following his program. And Dr. Mirhashimi has some great things that she's doing. I really think we ought to tune into it and learn. The worst that can happen if we learn is we learn. So anyway, I think we're almost out of time. Brandon, how much time do we have left?
We have a minute left.
1 minute left. Well, I can only tell you, all of you listeners, honor yourself. Honor yourself. Give yourself the best. And when I say give yourself the best, start treating yourself like a sacred entity. Eat the fuel that is important for your body, not tasting good, not the crap that we eat, but fuel that is going to heal your body and keep your body well. Hydrate properly. Cut out all the crap, all the sugary drinks, and all the alcohol that we drink. We're killing ourselves. Let's not do that to ourselves. Love ourselves enough to give ourselves the very best for the future. That's what we need to do. And do that emotionally as well, and spiritually as well. It is very, very important. And I really am so excited to be able to talk about things that are life-changing. and we've got a lot of life-changing things. I really appreciate all of you listeners. Tune in next week, 3 o'clock. We'll see you then on KCAA 1050 on your AM radio dial on 2 FM stations. God bless everybody. Talk to you next week.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Department is demanding the sale of CNN or DirecTV or another media asset before approving AT&T's proposed $85 billion buyout of Time Warner. The head of AT&T says he's not selling anything. That sent shares of Time Warner down today sharply, but elsewhere on Wall Street, the Dow managed a 6-point gain. The Nasdaq up 21, both ended at fresh record-closing highs. A driverless shuttle on its very first day of operation in downtown Las Vegas collided today with a semi-truck. No injuries reported. Panera Bread CEO is stepping down, just as the company announced it's buying the rival chain Au Bon Pain, which it used to own. Wendy's will begin delivering burgers right to your door in a partnership with DoorDash. An Apple streaming TV service striking a deal for a new drama, a behind-the-scenes look at a fictional morning news show starring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. Tom Busby, CNBC.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to tell you about KFC's Georgia Gold.
And I'm also over here to tell you about Nashville Hot.
Georgia Gold is honey mustard barbecue.
KFC Nashville Hot is spicy and smoky.
Georgia Gold is sweet and tangy.
Nashville Hot is crispy and delicious.
You might be asking how I'm doing this.
You also might be asking where the nearest KFC is.
I don't know what you're asking. This is radio. I can't hear you. Try both delicious flavors at KFC.
Available in extra crispy chicken tenders or chicken littles for a limited time at participating KFCs. Prices may vary.
Attention small business owners, you know how hard it is to get funding to grow your business. Next Wave Funding is a direct funder that can help you get the cash you need when you need it, even if your credit is not that great. If you've been in business for over 1 year, have at least $12,000 in sales every month, Next Wave will purchase your future earnings and give you the money you need. It's as simple as that. This is by far the easiest and best funding for existing businesses. Call 800-430-4566. That's 800-430-4566.
There's
NBC News Radio, I'm Monica Nelson. Vice President Pence is now in South Texas today. Pence and his wife Karen will visit with the families of the victims of the attack that left 26 people dead and 20 others wounded in Sutherland Springs. The Pences will also attend an evening prayer vigil. The Democratic Party is feeling re-energized after winning the governor's seats in Virginia and New Jersey. And now the party is turning its eyes toward the midterm elections. Democrats Ralph Northam and Phil Murphy won their races in Virginia and New Jersey. New York Democratic Mayor Bill de Blasio easily won re-election and is laying out his plans for the next 4 years. James Flippen has more.
His Honor says city voters spoke loud and clear last night.
You see a clear picture of what the vast majority of New Yorkers want, what their values are.
And he predicts a new era. He lists making New York a fairer city among his goals.
And continued change in the city. That's going to be very good. That's going to right a lot of the wrongs of the past.
He also wants body cams on all on-patrol officers, a mansion tax, a millionaire's tax, and to wrest control over rent laws from Albany. He thinks his re-election, as well as other races nationally, speak to President Trump's agenda.
Something very big is happening. Trust me.
But as far as his political aspirations beyond Gotham,
one goal only, to be mayor of New York City for 4 more years.
James Flippen, NBC News Radio, New York.
3 American college basketball players are out on bail following their arrest Tuesday in China for shoplifting. The trio was arrested after allegedly stealing sunglasses from a Louis Vuitton store next to the hotel. An Air Force Academy cadet thought to have been the target of racist threats is now admitting his role in the incident. The unidentified student was one of 5 African-American cadet candidates attending the Academy's prep school in Colorado Springs. After racist notes were found outside their rooms in September, the superintendent's stern lecture denouncing the action went viral. As of today, Amazon packages can be delivered inside your home. Prime members can buy a key in-home kit. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
There's no question you need omega-3s. But which form should you take? Fish oil or krill oil? Scientists have debated this for years. Luckily, there's a new solution to satisfy everyone. It's called Krill Omega 50 Plus. It combines ultra-pure fish oil and joint-soothing krill oil together in just one tiny pill. It's so powerful, it can promote the health of your heart and your arteries. And if that wasn't enough, it can also boost your joint comfort in just days. We're so sure Krill Omega 50 Plus will work for you. We'll even send you a free bottle to put to the test. The debate is over. It's not fish oil or krill oil. It's both. And now it's free. Just pay $4.95 for shipping and claim your free bottle. Call now. 1-800-320-5841. 1-800-320-5841. That's 1-800-320-5841.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Michael Berry Show, the critically acclaimed and award-winning Michael Berry Show. What a show! Live from the studios of KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and 102.3 FM. If you'd like to get to the show, you can email the show at mbsportsshow@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Also follow us on the Twitter box at MB Sports Show. Jam-packed, as always, got a lot to talk about. Joe Curley, beat writer for the Ventura County Star, will be checking in at the bottom of the hour. We'll be talking with him about the NFL and those Los Angeles Rams that are 6-2, atop of the NFL West, and those pesky Seahawks are right behind them at 5-3. So we'll talk to Joe about the NFL. We'll also talk to him about the buzz in LA about the Los Angeles Rams. Folks, guess what? Amazon will actually go into your house and put a package on your table. What a joke! I mean, my goodness. You get a kit, you put it on the old door, and then they can just come right in and deliver it to wherever you want it to be delivered, I guess. My goodness. Is Amazon out of ideas? I mean, who wants people coming into their house during the day to deliver a package? I thought they were going to have one of these drones drop them from the sky. And now Amazon's going to come in and they're just going to knock down your door, and I don't know what's going on in this world. But anyway, check that out. You might like it. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't like that idea. As you found out on the prior Michael Berry shows, that you should be listening and you should be taking notes, because one Michael Berry did say that the Houston Astros would win the World Series. Yes, they did. And he also predicted they would beat the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Dodgers. Actually, they could probably beat the Rams in baseball. But yes, the Astros won it all. A.J. Hinch and all those young guys, they went out and took it. Now, look, I got nervous about my prediction when Game 6 happened. Justin Verlander, he didn't pitch very well. Now, obviously, he had Kate Upton on his mind because they're going to get married. So, I mean, I guess you would be distracted about that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's Kate Upton. But anyway, didn't pitch well in Game 6. Dodgers won. I said, I think the Dodgers are going to win. But Houston gutted it out. And they continued to hit the ball, and the Dodgers did not continue to hit the ball. And here's, again, and I said this before, and it's not, I don't think A.J. Hinch outmanaged Roberts, because, you're a good manager to get to the World Series, okay? And I've said that before, and I do think the big thing with this whole World Series was that Roberts pressed a little bit too much, and he was putting people in spots that they hadn't been in all year, where I think Hinch did that a little bit, but not very much. And so everybody was comfortable with what they were doing. And, I just think that the Dodgers just got tired. They got tired. They weren't hitting, lost their roles, and everybody had to assume some different roles. And I think that's what won the World Series for your Houston Astros, and that's good for the city of Houston. And we're going to talk at the bottom of the hour, because the other team in Houston, the Houston Texans, made a big splash today. I'll save that news at the bottom of the hour if you don't know about it, but it's a huge Splash. And a lot to talk about there as well. But again, I'm going to hold that till 4:30 just to keep you around. Anyway, again, like I said, at the bottom of the hour, we have Joe Curley. He'll be in. After the break, we are going to talk about college football and, of course, college basketball, which knocking right at the door, folks. Knocking right at the door. It's a good time in sports right now. So when we come back, we're going to talk about all that stuff. So don't go away. This is the Michael Berry Show on KCAA 1050 AM.
Hi, this is Todd from the Flip Flop Investor Show. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. where we talk about real estate investments here in the Inland Empire. Before you go to a real estate seminar, come check out our Real Estate Investment Club that meets at the Mission Inn in Riverside every fourth Wednesday. Find out more on our weekly show at 4 p.m. Thursdays right here on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Riverside Municipal Airport would like to now honor all Americans who have served in our armed forces.
Saturday, November 11th is Veterans Day.
Ever since the first anniversary of the end of World War I, November 11th has been set aside as a day to honor America's veterans. We continue that tradition, honoring veterans who served in Europe and in the Pacific, in Korea and Vietnam, in the Persian Gulf and elsewhere. We salute our veterans across America and right here at home.
This Veterans Day, the Riverside Municipal Airport salutes America's veterans, honoring all who have served. Riverside Airport, itself a Civil Air Patrol site, works with 2 universities offering aviation degree programs, tower-controlled ILS, 6 flight schools, and an A&P school. Riverside Municipal Airport also salutes the city's own National Cemetery. To all who have served, a hearty thank you from Riverside Municipal Airport.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream this summer at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from See's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the mall with a heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Michael Berry Show. Glad that you're with us today. Just heard on the commercial, See's Candy. Whoo, See's Candy. Love it. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about college football right now. And again, the 4 teams that are supposed to be in the Final Four of the college football playoffs have pretty much stayed the same. Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson. The AP Top 25 has it a little bit different. Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, and Clemson. But, you know, the Michael Berry Show goes with the college football playoff rankings. That's who we like to follow. And it looks like in both polls, and I think in a lot of people's minds, for some reason that the Oklahoma Sooners are the 5th team. So if somebody were to drop, it looks like Oklahoma would be the team, and Baker Mayfield is becoming somewhat of maybe a Heisman Trophy front runner, which I just don't get. But again, it's not what you do at the beginning of the year; it's what you do, toward the end of the year. And so, Oklahoma has a lock on that 5th spot, and that's kind of a key thing, simply because if any of those top 4 drop out, I mean, they're the team that's going to move into the top 4 and get into that playoff. The big matchup this Saturday is obviously Notre Dame going down to Miami. It's going to be an evening game, I think about 8 o'clock Eastern time. Miami's 8-0, Notre Dame is 8-1. And again, just to remind you that the only loss was at the beginning of the year when Notre Dame dropped a close one to Georgia. Miami's been playing really well. They have actually moved up 3 slots. So they are gaining some respect with the committee and people. And TCU, for some reason, continues to get all kinds of love, and I just don't see it. But if Miami were to beat Notre Dame, the interesting thing would be, would Oklahoma move in and Notre Dame move out if they were to lose? Or would Miami actually, who would still be undefeated, hop, skip, and jump over Oklahoma, and they would end up being in that 4th slot probably, where Clemson would move up into the 3rd. That was if Notre Dame were to lose. If Notre Dame were to win, pretty much the rest of their schedule, they should be able to finish, unless obviously they get upset. I think Clemson's going to finish strong and continue to be with 1 loss. Alabama, the cream of the crop, and again, Alabama and Georgia are going to have to meet. So one of them are going to lose, and I don't think if either one of them lose, I think they still should be in the top 4. So it'll be interesting to see how all that stuff kind of rotates around, and we see what happens. But college football, this is why it's exciting, and this is why the Michael Berry Show always tries to put 8 teams. And if you want to go to Facebook, find the Michael Berry Show, you should already be on there and liking it. But go on there and you'll have my top 8, because I just feel this is, if we had 8 teams, you would have obviously the 4 I mentioned: Oklahoma, TCU, Miami, and Wisconsin. I think all of those teams, especially Miami and Wisconsin, who are 8-0 and 9-0 respectively, would actually get a shot to play and win a national championship. And basically you're playing another weekend. So hopefully somebody will fix that. If they ask me, I can fix it for them, but I don't think they're going to be knocking down the door. So you're going to have 4 teams instead of 8. But college football is alive and well. You're going to have all the bowl games here shaping up pretty soon, right around Thanksgiving, and that approaches fairly quickly. And who's going to win the Heisman Trophy? Basically, it's going to be the guy that has the greatest games over the next 2 to 3 weeks, because it's wide open. I mean, there really isn't a front runner. I guess, like I said, Baker Mayfield is kind of the talk of the town right now, but. Alabama has some people that can win that thing. Georgia obviously has some people that can win that thing. Notre Dame's running back Adams is unbelievable. The type of runs that he's just lopping off for the Irish. Clemson's quarterback has a shot. So all these guys, there's a bunch of guys that could make it, but again, no real front runner out there to say and talk about. So. That's kind of your wrap up with the college football. Again, Notre Dame and Miami, the headliner for this weekend. So college basketball is about to start, and I've already picked the top 4 seeds and then the second 4 seeds, and I can tell you who's going to be in the championship game, and I'll tell you and talk about that in a minute. But I'd like to talk about the UCLA Bruins. They have a problem. Problem in Westwood. They're in China. And, is it LiAngelo Ball? I think he's the youngest one. Who can follow these ball boys here? I said ball boys. Did you get that one? The ball boys. They are caught stealing sunglasses. Seriously? You can't go to China, go to a Louis Vuitton store, and not take glasses out of the store? Are you serious? Oh, well, guess what, Mr. Michael Berry? If these kids were getting paid, then they wouldn't have to go steal sunglasses. I think his brother just made millions of dollars. If the dude can't get his younger brother a pair of nice sunglasses, there's something wrong with the Ball family. And then there was a couple other dudes in there, that are pretty good players, that are going to hurt. Jalen Hill and Cody Riley are good players. So UCLA has some issues. Again, this is something that's going to be hanging over their head all year. The boys are out on bail right now, and they're going to have to go to China and face the consequences. If they were in like Singapore, they'd be getting the kendo sticks. Seriously, they'd be getting those things on them. So it's a bad situation for those guys in UCLA, and I think it just ruined the season. It really did, and it'll ruin Langelo's career. Maybe, you never know. He's going to have to really step it up. But again, all those Ball guys, they're going to make it into the NBA. LeVar Ball doesn't think it's that big of a deal. Kids being kids. You can be kids in the United States of America, but when it comes to another country like China, I don't think they're going to go so easy on them. So we'll monitor that for you. But getting back to the college basketball season, which is upon us, let me go through my second seeds, which are going to be Kentucky, Villanova, North Carolina, and Wichita State. All those teams are pretty even as far as talent goes. The coaching is what's going to really be a factor, and none of those coaches with the talent that they have are going to get their kids past the top 4 teams that I'm about to talk about. Now, I say that with a lot of positivity. You never know in the March Madness. I mean, you never know. Anything can happen. It's a long season. Somebody can get hurt. The guys could go to Walmart and steal some hubcaps or whatever, and then your team's going to be out. You might get a couple guys in jail. You never know. What a joke. So, again, long season. But Kentucky, Villanova, North Carolina, and Wichita State will be the 2 seeds. The 1 seeds will be Duke, Michigan State, Kansas, and the cheating Wildcats. I mean, the Arizona Wildcats. So that'll be the top 4. Now, look, Duke is probably going to lose a couple games early, so they're not going to be the number 1 seed too long. I might be wrong there, and they might maybe run 7, 8, 10 games off the beginning of the year, but it really doesn't matter, obviously, who's ranked 1 now, but it is going to be a long season, and we're going to see who's ranked, obviously in the top 4, and I think you're going to find that Duke, Michigan State, Kansas, and Arizona will be the cream of the crop. Obviously they're going to be at the top of things when the season's all said and done, and I think it's going to end up being, and I hate to say it, but it's going to be Duke and Kansas in the championship game, and Kansas is going to be Duke. I really believe it. I think this is going to be Kansas' year to be not as talented maybe as they were with a bunch of different teams down in the past, but I can guarantee you that this team, I just have a feeling, is going to be one of those teams that gels and gets right where they need to be. And that's going to be in the finals. Some of the other teams that I think, can, as we're just predicting here early, I think Southern California, USC, obviously has a great opportunity. The Florida Gators, I think they cheated too, but Florida Gators could be another team that, if they're not a 3 seed, maybe could be a 2 seed. Real possibility there. I think Notre Dame's going to have a pretty good season this year again. I think they've got it to a point where they're probably the Irish are probably a top 16 team, and so I think they could be a 3 seed maybe. And Purdue as well, I think, has made some strides over the last couple of years to where they've been more consistent and can win those games. I really have 3 sleepers that I'm going to talk about here real quick. Grand Canyon, with Thunder Dan Marley taking over the reins, has developed a really good program out there in Phoenix. And I think Grand Canyon is going to make the tournament this year. And I think they may raise some heck, at least 1 game for sure, and maybe move to the next round. Belmont's a team that's always in it. I think Belmont's going to be a team that could win 1 or 2 games. And then again, if you win 2 games and you get to that next level, it's depending who you get for the draw. And Belmont could be a team that could actually move into the Elite Eight. But I think the team that is the team that's been knocking it around for a while, and is going to make the biggest, I think, splash, biggest surprise, the sleeper, whatever you want to call them, is the University of Oakland up there in Rochester, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. Very nice area. And I think Oakland's the team that's going to be able to run some games off. They got good balance in what they have. They can shoot the 3. They've got guys that can take it to the bucket and score. Their bigs are adequate and have gotten better. They can actually step out and shoot the ball, but I think they're big enough to go down and pound and not give up a lot of buckets, especially defensively. And so that's the team. Those are the 3 sleeper teams that I would say are going to be that would be a big factor. But you can't take away from the big dogs. And again, Duke and Kansas will be in the finals. Michigan State and Arizona will be the runner-ups for the 3 and 4 slots. And then from there, it doesn't really matter, I guess, at that point. But it's going to be an exciting college football or basketball season as well, to piggyback right off a very good, and I think we're going to have a great finish in college football. So, I think we need to look at, we're going to have a lot of stuff to watch here, especially in college sports as we come up. Now, here's my beef, and we're going to talk to Joe Curley here in just a few minutes, and he's going to, maybe he'll set me straight and he can give us some ideas on why this has happened. Colin Kaepernick out of the University of Nevada is now a quarterback in the NFL. He has been signed by the Houston Texans. I would love to have found out how all this came about, but he was going to get signed. I knew he was going to get signed within the next week or 2. Didn't know who. It was rumored last week, to be honest with you, that he was going to be somebody that the Texans would be interested in, only because Deshaun Watson is somebody that's really mobile in the pocket, can throw on the run, makes plays happen. Colin Kaepernick, if he's right, can do those things. And so he's a better fit for the offense that was scoring a bunch of points over the last 3 or 4 games. He's a great fit for the Houston Texans. Tom Savage is not the fit for the Houston Texans because he's more of a drop-back passer. He's not going to create opportunities like Colin Kaepernick can. And shame on a lot of the other teams that passed on him. I've always said that, when you bring in Cutler and you leave Kaepernick, who's been to a Super Bowl, you can't get him to come to your team, and you're going to get Cutler on their team. The Miami Dolphins, they blew it right there. So there had to be something going on behind the scenes. I don't want to, accuse anybody of anything because, it'll come out, I guess, eventually. Kaepernick actually sued the NFL for, kind of colluding to keep him out of the league. But he's back. He's back and bigger than ever. My big thing is, will Colin Kaepernick kneel? Oh, my goodness. He's going to be on the Houston Texans roster, and at 4 o'clock Eastern time, they're not going to even worry about the kickoff. They're going to worry about if he's on the sideline, if he's kneeling or not. How sad is that? Not that he's going to, how quickly can he play? Can he get the playbook in his system and digest most of it? And like I said, it should be fairly easy for him. Now, can he do it? He's on he's signed today on a Wednesday. Is Thursday, Friday, Saturday enough for a professional quarterback to come in and be able to take the reins? And again, they're not playing against any slouch. They're playing against the Los Angeles Rams, 6-2, hot team. And so the Texans need this win. They need to win this football game. So in a few minutes, we're going to be talking to Joe Curley. beat writer for those Los Angeles Rams, and we're going to talk NFL football. We're going to talk LA Rams football, and I can't wait. But Colin Kaepernick, folks, back under center in the gun for your Houston Texans. Oh, can't wait. Beautiful. Fantasy football. How does that kind of shake out? I mean, do you put your eggs in that basket? Because you've got a couple quarterbacks that are hurt, not playing well. And can he put up some big numbers right away? I don't know. So we have a lot to talk about here with Joe Curley as we come to the next break. Love to have you with us. Stay with us. And this is the Michael Berry Show on KCAA 1050 AM.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
Georgia remains atop this week's college football playoff rankings. The Dogs, followed by Bama, Notre Dame, and Clemson just outside the top four. Oklahoma at number 5, TCU at number 6. Miami, Wisconsin, Washington, Auburn round out the top 10. The Phoenix Suns are dealing disgruntled point guard Eric Bledsoe to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Suns receive center Greg Monroe and a pair of protected draft picks. Major League Baseball honoring the best defensive players in the sport with the Gold Glove Awards. The Rockies, Diamondbacks, Twins, Angels, and Royals all had 2 players that take home a Gold Glove. A sad day across the sport. Former Blue Jay and Philly ace pitcher Roy Halladay killed in a small light sport aircraft crash off the St. Petersburg, Florida coast yesterday. Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco was a friend.
He was 1 in a million. It is a true loss for us. I have no doubt he is looking down with God up in heaven because his heart was a heart of gold.
The 40-year-old, an 8-time All-Star and 2-time Cy Young Award winner. That's sports. Jake Orwin, NBC News Radio.
Mark Christopher Auto Center would like to now honor every American who has served in our armed forces.
Saturday, November 11th is Veterans Day.
Veterans Day provides an opportunity for us to remember the men and women who served in our nation's armed forces to preserve our freedom. Today, most of America's veterans are senior citizens. Let them know they're not forgotten. Across the land and right here at home.
California's #1 volume GM dealer, Mark Christopher Auto Center, would like to salute the veterans of our nation. Mark Christopher is family-owned and has been since 1975. They know the sacrifices families make for one another, as well as the sacrifices family members have made for our freedom. Mark Christopher Auto Center is proud to serve all of you who have served. Thank you for your service. From Mark Christopher Auto Center at the Vineyard exit of Interstate 10. This segment of broadcasting brought to you by Tender Hearts TLC Incorporated. Tender Hearts, the helping hands for your loved ones, where they understand it can be difficult to find time in your already busy schedule to attend to all the needs of your aging loved one. Tender Hearts will be there for your loved one when you can't be. Tender Hearts TLC helps your aging loved ones stay in their home as they specialize in tender, loving, 24-hour service, including transportation to doctor's appointments, medication reminders, meal preparation, light housekeeping, and assistance with activities of daily living such as hygiene and grooming, orientation, and companionship. We thank Tender Hearts for their support of this station. Tender Hearts TLC, where they don't just care for your loved one, they give them tender, loving care. For more info, you can reach them at 909-528-9759. That's 909-528-9759 for Tender Hearts TLC.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Michael Berry Show, and we are glad to have Joe Curley with us, beat writer, Ventura County Star. Joe, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing good. Just wrapped up practice out in Thousand Oaks.
How'd that go for them today? Were they excited about the Colin Kaepernick signing?
They're excited about being 6-2.
Well, we'll talk about Colin Kaepernick in a minute. Here's my first question for you, and Steve Fisher was the coach last year, and we've got a 31-year-old superstar that, was a tight ends coach for the Redskins and so on and so forth. But he's been able to come in and make this team actually ranking first in points with 32.9. I mean, what's the big difference with the two coaches? Was it the age, or what was it?
Yeah, I mean, with age comes philosophy. I mean, obviously, you kind of learn your value structure as you mature, and Coach Fisher learned his value structure around the '85 Bears, and defense wins championships, and keep possession with a strong ground game, and obviously what the Rams were doing when they hired Coach McVay was kind of a new age coach who understands kind of the new offenses. This was last couple of years the Rams have been the worst passing team in the NFL, and honestly they just weren't entertaining. And I think the goal this year, certainly Rams fans wanted a team that would win, but certainly a team, if it was going to take more than a year to turn around, they wanted to be entertained. And this team has both won and entertained this year. It's been such an incredible turnaround that it's kind of peaked today, where you have some national reporters predicting the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, which we kind of in the locker room today after some of the players were kind of chuckling about. And another one called the Coach McVay the Coach of the Year and all kinds of stuff. And I mean, the goal is not for this team to peak the first week in November. The goal is for it to play, into 2018.
Well, absolutely. And if you look at the, good. First 8 games, 6-2. That's awesome. That's awesome. But now you've got a Houston Texans team coming up is pretty good. The rest of their schedule. I mean, you got Minnesota, you got New Orleans, you've got Arizona, who's getting better. You got Philadelphia, for crying out loud. And then you got Seattle, and then you finish up with San Francisco and Tennessee. And by the time you get to San Francisco, they've got a brand new quarterback that might be turning things on for that team. And then Marcus Mariota might be not nursing a bad hamstring at that point. So I believe everybody realizes that this isn't over, and 6-2 can be flash in the pan pretty quick.
Well, this is a team that started 3-1 last year, and then won one of their last 11 games or something like that.
Right.
So a lot of those veterans, a lot of the players who were on the team last year understand how quickly things can turn around. I mean, just today, Jared Goff, who was announced as the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, said last year we were the worst team in the world, and this year everyone loves us. So we'll keep some perspective and take it week from week. And I think that's kind of what the players that are still with the team that went through that awful year last year. Those are some of the lessons. They're using those lessons from last year, to really appreciate this team. I think there's a lot of Rams fans in Southern California. This is a team that hasn't made the playoffs in over a decade, hasn't had a winning season in over a decade. They're only a couple wins away from clinching kind of both of those this year, and you can feel how thankful they are coming through Twitter, just because every win is they're grateful for every win, and they appreciate kind of everything that Coach McVay has given them so far, and it's only been a couple months.
What's the I want to talk about golf and some other things, but real quick, what's the buzz about this team in the LA area? I mean, is it obviously you said a lot of people are talking about them going to the Super Bowl, but I mean, is it exciting? I mean, are people willing to go out to the Coliseum now and pack that thing, and they have a good idea that this team might be really, really good if they can continue to do that? Or is it just, they're flash and pan, we'll see what happens? I mean, there's got to be some kind of excitement out there, right?
Well, it's interesting. We were talking about this. I mean, the Dodgers had their run, and, kind of Southern California was more focused on the World Series and all of that. Meanwhile, the Rams haven't been home in over a month. They've been on the road winning all these games. They're undefeated. On the road. They won a game in London. They won a game in Jacksonville. Stayed the week there. So really, they've been kind of away for some time. And now this week's game against the Texans at home will be another kind of data point in that kind of as we track kind of Los Angeles' discovery of the Rams, I kind of don't expect it to, in the Seattle game, the last home game, which was the last game the Rams lost, it was a really loud crowd, biggest crowd of the year so far. But certainly if everything if status quo remains, and this is a team that's winning games and in the playoff structure as teams like New Orleans, who's a number 2 seed in the NFC right now, and obviously the Eagles are the number 1 team in football at the moment, and they come to the Coliseum in a couple weeks, those will be the really big gauges of if the Coliseum looks like it did last year, when the Seahawks came to town when it was, over 90,000 people there, if they get a good crowd for some of those games, especially if maybe the NFL flexes those games to Sunday Night Football, maybe the Rams kind of return will be complete. But, certainly there's a lot of people that paid a lot of money for this team last year to really, the entertainment value at home. They weren't just a 4-12 team; they're a 4-12 team that only scored 14 points a game, and you don't really. It's just astonishing the turnaround in 1 year. Like you said earlier, they're the number one offense in the NFL, and they're 6-2, and I think they're 4th seed right now based on tiebreakers, but a couple wins away from the top seed in the NFC. So, I think if they maintain their rate of growth, Los Angeles is bound to find them at some point.
Right. Well, and it's kind of funny because it seemed and sounded like Jared Goff was going to be selling insurance here fairly quick after one season, and he must have rubbed some kind of secret oil all over him because he's silky smooth back there and throwing the football really well. I guess opinions have changed about the young quarterback, huh?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of what we've learned is kind of a case study in kind of the day-to-day, how quickly things turn in the NFL. The team, the team's fortunes and the quarterback's fortunes are tied so quickly, so tightly together, and certainly, Jared Goff got a baptism by fire in the NFL, going 0-7 last year. Like you said, we were the worst team in the world, and he started 0-7. The team was 4-12, and they hired Coach McVay to save their investment in this kid from Cal, and he's done it in just a couple months. Jared will be the first to tell you that he may be silky smooth, but he's not playing perfect football right now. And we were just talking. I was just talking with a couple people in the locker room today that he's NFC Player of the Week, and he almost kind of sheepishly kind of accepted the honor when he was up at the podium earlier today because he didn't play his best. He knows he didn't play his best. He knows there's a lot. He missed some throws. He knows there's a lot of room for improvement. And he still went out there and threw for 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards and dismantle the Giants team that beat the Rams in London last year. So, that's the scary thing is this team is the number 1 offense in football, and they're still nowhere near their ceiling. There's still a lot of room to grow. They're still kind of learning Coach McVay's system. They're still kind of in that transitional year. That's what kind of makes what's happening right now just so shocking that it's turned around so quickly, and I don't want to say easily, but this looked like a multi-year rebuild, and it's only been a few months during the season.
I got a lot of West Virginia listeners on the show, and last year Tavon Austin kind of got paid. Is there a disappointment of maybe his production a little bit, or is it maybe the offense itself, or what's going on with that fella?
Yeah, Tavon has he's always kind of been a role player, a gadget player. I think they paid him. He had a really big touchdown year 2 years ago, and I think they were kind of, thanking him for, kind of the points production, being somebody who's unselfish enough, maybe not be the number 1 receiver in terms of targets, really kind of being kind of a gadget player who runs the ball and takes some shots and then maybe makes an impact in special teams. And, I think Coach Fisher, who's such a player's coach and was loved by his team, I think one of the reasons he was loved by his team was because they kind of paid for past performance. And I think, Tavon's not a great fit for this offense. They were kind of thinking about putting him in the Deshaun Jackson kind of downfield role, which isn't one that he's really played in the NFL. That they went out and they traded for Sammy Watkins, which kind of took that away from him in August. But he's gone out and he hasn't really complained. He's made an impact when he can, and he's really, what he's done is he's filled this kind of third down back role, this kind of skill back, scat back kind of role that Chris Thompson played so well when Coach McVay was the offensive coordinator in Washington. And so, Tavon obviously he is one of the highest paid receivers in football, and I know there's some Rams fans that kind of grumble that he's making so much money, but it's kind of in a spot where, by the time you get to next year, that cap figure is going to come way down, and maybe he'll be paid for, his payment will be, or his salary will be a lot more in line with his performance. But certainly he's been, there's not too many people that have been on this team that have been in the league, or certainly on the Rams for as long as Tavon has, and he's, he's a leader in that group, and he's kept his mouth shut and he's performed. He's done what they've asked him to do. So, it's not his fault. He's making some money. Good for him.
You can't complain about that, I guess, right? I mean, that's who are who would you say you're more concerned with in the NFC West? I mean, is it the Seahawks or will it be the Cardinals when it's all said and done? Who will press the Rams if they can continue to keep this winning up?
Yeah, the Cardinals, have a veteran team who, have had some great runs in the past. But with Carson Palmer's injury, they made a great move to go get Adrian Peterson to fill that hole with David Johnson's injury. I mean, I really think the Cardinals have been really beaten up by some injuries, and things haven't gone very well. They were kind of fading already. It really is a two-team race between the Rams and the Seahawks, and the Washington gave the Rams a nice gift last weekend by giving them sole possession of first place by handing the Seahawks kind of a vital loss. Obviously, it's not over. The Rams had a real opportunity to build a big lead in this division when they lost that close game at the Coliseum against Seattle about a month ago. And Cooper, they came down to the end, and Cooper Kupp had the game-winning touchdown passes, kind of glance off his fingertips, and kind of as a kind of a neutral, you're kind of thankful for that, because if he catches that ball and the Rams win that game, they have like a 3.5 game lead already. There's no drama. There's no what's fun in blowing out the division in your first year under your new coach. So I mean, the Rams will have a really nice kind of back and forth week to week race with the Seahawks, kind of culminating with that game in Seattle in the middle of December. So that's obviously probably they play the teams that are the 1, 2, and 3 seeds in the NFC playoffs at the moment in Philadelphia, Minnesota, or New Orleans and Minnesota respectively in that group. But really the biggest is that game in Seattle in mid-December, or who knows, maybe the Rams will have the division wrapped up by then. But certainly that's a pivotal game.
That'd make everything a lot easy for a whole lot of people. Before I let you go, like you said, the Saints are 6-2, Panthers are 6-3. Obviously, Philadelphia's only got the one loss, but the Vikings are 6-2, and they're kind of doing it without a real steady hand at quarterback because Bradford's been hurt. Who have you heard is going to step in there? Is Bridgewater ready, or is Keenum ready, or will Bradford be back? Because I really feel the Minnesota Vikings are going to be one of the teams that, if they satisfy this quarterback issue and get some consistency with that person, I think they may end up being the team to beat out of all of them. But have you heard anything about the quarterback situation?
Yeah, well, they said today, I saw something today where it basically said with Bradford being put on IR, Case Keenum's the starting quarterback at the moment, but Teddy Bridgewater is getting really close. Teddy Bridgewater is the real starting quarterback for that franchise, and obviously he had a gruesome, horrific knee injury during training camp last year, so he's actually been out more than a year. But reports out of Minnesota is that he's getting really close, which is, great for the Vikings. Kind of a shame for the storylines next week, because obviously the Rams go to Minnesota next week, and Case Keenum obviously was the Rams starting quarterback last year, so you had an opportunity where, if Bridgewater's not able to come back, then you've got Case Keenum playing against his former team, and one thing we learned about Case last year is he's just a tremendous, classy individual. He was, we're just talking about that stuff next week in the media room, and he was not the problem. Last year, he's certainly, he's been in a lot of different places in the NFL where he really hasn't been the solution, but he is kind of a really nice kind of stopgap guy. He's done a really good job for the Vikings this year and getting them in position. He's really been better than Bradford. He deserves a lot of credit for having the Vikings in the position to take over that division and be a top seed in the NFC. And we'll see what happens. Bridgewater's certainly getting close to be back. I mean, as a reporter who roots for stories, maybe it'd be cool if he took an extra week before he came back, so we got a shot to cover Case Keenum against his former team. But that's people, as a reporter, people always talk about biases. And, I mean, the number one place where a reporter's biased is to the story, and we want the good story.
Hey, all right. So you got to do a favor for me, because you've been great. We appreciate you coming on, but here's the big deal that you got to do for me, because you're with the team on a daily basis. You need to go in there and please tell them to wear the white and blue helmets and take the yellow or gold or whatever it is and go back to the old style white and blue, because it really bothered me here on the Michael Berry Show. And when I get ornery, it's kind of difficult for me to do the show. And I'd like to see the Rams win because I've always liked the organization, but I don't like that gold. So can you hook me up? Can you help me out here?
Well, you're not the first person to bring that up. You're not the first person to ask that. Certainly their blue and white helmets. It's really a mess. Where they're blue and white helmets this year, they're blue and white pants this year, but they still have the old gold millennium, St. Louis gold on the uniforms, which is a huge huge cause of concern for Los Angeles Rams fans, because of course it reminds them, that the team spent, more than a decade, close to 2 decades more than 2 decades, in St. Louis. So that they want that color gone. It's interesting. Rams fans, Los Angeles Rams fans, longtime diehard Rams fans who we've met and learned so much about the last couple of years since they've kind of come out of the woodwork with the team back. That is a big deal to them. The uniforms are almost paramount. It's almost the second most important thing the last 2 years beyond the team returning. So, you're not alone.
I'm with them. I mean, my goodness. Yeah. Come on. I do. Hey, St. Louis is it's hot. It's muggy. They don't need to go back to thinking about St. Louis. It's all in the sun. It's the sun. Simple.
You know the deal. It's all about marketing and money and contracts, and all those uniforms are in the stores, and they don't want to have to recall them. And it all takes time to to phase those things out. And so that, I think, is the main issue, is just the merchandising aspect of the big kind of financial monster that is the NFL. But they're going to get there, and they do seem to be going to those old classic white and blue uniforms, which, for my money, probably the best uniforms in NFL history. So it would be cool if they go. I'm all right with blue and white. I don't mind the old, their throwbacks, I think, are really nice uniforms too, and I think they're going to get there. It's just, taking some time. It is hideous when they're on the road in those blues with the yellow in the jersey and the white horns and the white pants. It is a mess. You are right.
And if they weren't winning, it wouldn't make a difference because nobody would care. But now they're winning, so they got to look good. They got to sleek this thing down anyway. Joe, thank you for your time.
Being a lucky charm.
You've been terrific. Thanks, and keep in touch, and we'll see if these Rams can get it done the next 8 games.
Sure, I'm available when you need me. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Bye. Anytime.
Folks, that's Joe Curley. Oh, my goodness. Talk about somebody connected with his team. That was awesome. I love talking to Joe there. And, hey, the Rams have it going. I'm telling you. Old school coach gone, new school coach in, relates to the players, getting the team rocking and rolling. But as I was talking with Joe, I told you, kind of run down the schedule a little bit. I mean, they got some teams. They got Philadelphia. They got the Seahawks. So they've got two really, really tough games right there. And then they've got the Saints. And they finish up with Tennessee, who I think is going to be a team that's going to get better here in the next few weeks as if Marcus Mariota can continue to stay healthy. So they've got a tough schedule coming up, but it's fun to watch them. As Joe said, I mean, it's I've always said, and offense will put a lot of people in the seats, and defense will obviously win you championships. And we didn't even get a chance really to talk about the Rams defense, who had been stellar for a few years now, and as they get older and more mature, I mean, that defensive line they have is unbelievable. But look, they are just lighting it up. First in the league with 32.9 points. They're third in the league with 382 yards a game, which is unbelievable. And out of 382 yards a game, 250 of those yards are from the golden arm, the Cal Berkeley slinger, Jared Goff. And now Todd Gurley's actually getting some carries. They're able to push the ball up a little bit. They can swing him out, and he's starting to show how good of a back he really is. And they're fifth. They're fifth in rushing with 131.9 yards in the league. And I said they were 250 in passing yards right now. They're 10th. That's 10th in the league. Back in the day, if you threw for 250, 300 yards, you were putting some serious points up on the board. But the Rams have it going. The Rams have it going. And this game against Houston is going to be really interesting. And like I said, I don't know if Colin Kaepernick will be ready to play. I'm sure he'll be on the sideline. And all eyes will be on Colin Kaepernick, the Houston Texans, and Colin Kaepernick's right or left knee. I don't know what knee he kneels with, what preference it is. But that's where we're going to find out on Sunday. And I hope he plays. I mean, I think it'll be really exciting to see him back out there, and we can maybe get all this stuff pushed under the rug now. And but somehow I have a feeling him being in the league now is going to cause some more issues and so on and so forth. But big game. That's going to be the big game of the season, the weekend, because, that's the game that, will have the most interest, especially if Colin Kaepernick can actually play. So, folks, it's been a pleasure to actually be with you today. Again, we'd like to thank Joe Curley. He did a great job, beat writer for the Ventura County Star. And he covers the NFL and the LA Rams. And again, if I don't blow my own horn, we did predict the Houston Astros to win. We have already predicted, so I don't know if you want to write this down and get to Las Vegas or contact your bookie, whoever. But the Kansas Jayhawks are going to win it. They're going to win it all in March Madness. So you've already heard that first here. Folks, again, been a pleasure. We'll see you next week at 7:05 Eastern, 6:05 Central, and 4:05 Pacific. This has been the Michael Berry Show on KCAA 1050 AM.
Hi, this is Bev from Let's Go Shopping with Bev and Friends. If you like to shop the way I like to shop, you got